9 minutes past 11, BBC Radio Wales, playing you Joan Armour Trading. So to this interview I've been telling you about, stop whatever you're doing, you will want to hear this. Beth Margetson was diagnosed with breast cancer a year ago. She's battled through surgery, chemotherapy. Now she's fighting to get the drug Afinitor that's been recommended by a top breast cancer expert. But the NHS in Wales have refused because of the cost, because it hasn't been approved for use in Wales. Bethan is here to share her story. Bethan, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
So you contacted the BBC because you feel frustrated, you feel angry. First of all, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm feeling quite emotional today because for me this is very hard to come on national radio and talk about my issues. But these are issues that need to be aired, not just for myself. I'm not fighting for myself. I'm fighting for women everywhere, particularly in Wales. And I want people to hear my story, and I want people to know the issues that are important for us women in Wales. And we need to stand up and be counted. And I'm ready to stand up and be counted for myself and for everybody else.
Right, okay. So you're diagnosed with breast cancer a year ago. I want you to take me back. What was that like?
Well, you know, it was obviously a very shocking event. My mother died of breast cancer in 2004. I always felt that I might be at greater risk, and it was always something that was in my mind. And I had a breast lump. I found it last summer, and I had a mammogram in September, which confirmed it was indeed cancer. At the time, they thought it was localised. They thought they could maybe just do a lumpectomy on me. But as things progressed, my sort of diagnosis became increasingly more severe. So I ended up having my breast removed, a mastectomy. That was one lot of surgery. Shortly after, I had another lot of surgery, which I needed to have all my lymph glands in my armpit removed. And most recently, in May this year, I've had my ovaries removed. All of these surgeries we have paid for privately because of speed and because of the speediest access. You know, we're not wealthy people, we're working class people. My own background is in the NHS. I'm a nurse, midwife and health visitor. I have a degree in public health. But for speed of treatment,
what is the difference in speed? Is it really that slow on the NHS?
Well, I think it would have been slower. You know, I don't think it is that slow, but we're talking a difference between weeks and days. And I felt I just couldn't wait. And my husband didn't want me to wait. I think with my family history, there are a number of people in my family who've died from breast cancer. He just wanted the best for me. So, you know, he used money from his pension fund to pay for my treatment, which has cost in total £15,000. So that's money really, you know, that we can't really afford, to be honest. You know, but we sourced the money. He wanted the best for me. Since, you know, then following my initial breast cancer diagnosis, it was found that my cancer had already spread to other organs. So that is then called metastatic breast cancer. So I have breast cancer that has spread to most of the bones in my body, and I have some deposits in my liver. You know, the prognosis for metastatic breast cancer is not good. But I'm not really a girl for buying into statistics. And I'm thinking I'm going to live 20 years. But to live 20 years, I can't do it on my own. I need people to be with me. I need medical help. You know, I'm doing as much as I can myself in terms of lifestyle change, diet change. I spend over £500 a month on supplements. I've changed my diet completely. I exercise. But, you know, I need the medical, you know, profession to help me with drugs that they have available, new drugs that can extend my life, can even put me into remission. And I think I deserve a chance at those drugs. I deserve the opportunity to go into remission. And that's all I'm asking for. I have a family, they love me. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I have a husband. I have an elderly father who's, you know, 86, who I look after. People rely on me. I'm an ordinary person. People will identify with me. You know, there are people out there now, ordinary people like me, who want to stay alive. My daughter is an only child of only children. My husband and I have no brothers and sisters. We're a very small family unit. My daughter needs me to be alive, and I'm going to be alive. You know, and there are people like me out there, lots of them, who are, you know, people who have been refused this medication. I can't give you figures because I don't know how many in Wales. You know, Professor Barrett Lee is my doctor, he would know. But, you know, we are people who deserve a chance to live. And the drug is there, it's available. It's expensive, yes it is. But, you know, I deserve that opportunity.
You strike me as a fighter, Betha.
I am a fighter. I come from a family of fighters. You know, my mother was a big campaigner. I'll tell you now, when I was a very small child, I was about 3, and I remember being chained in a pram to Llwynapia Hospital in the Rhondda, where my mother was campaigning to keep it open because she had treatment there when she was pregnant with me. And she won that fight, and my grandmother was a fighter. And, you know, we have to fight for what is right. You can't dress the truth up, Jason. I'm telling the truth. And I'm asking people to listen to me. You know, I'm asking for a drug that's expensive. But how much waste is going on in Wales in the NHS? I've got figures for drug waste. You know, in Wales, in the NHS last year, we wasted £21 million worth of drugs. They were thrown away. They were destroyed. £21 million. Do you know, this treatment for me, Afinitor, is going to cost about £68,000. How can you compare £68,000 to £21 million in waste?
These are your figures. These are your
These
claims.
are figures,
this is what you
yeah,
claim. I'm wondering whether the Welsh NHS and the Welsh Health Minister, Mark Drakeford, would contest those figures.
He might contest them, but a lot of the figures I've got off the NHS websites. You know, they're figures that are online, freely available. He can contest them. Fine, yeah, of course he can. But these are figures that are available for the public.
So £68,000, what's that, a year for the drug?
Well, for the course of treatment probably, because with these types of treatments, they don't work forever. They work for a specified period of time. So it might work for me for 6 months. It might work for me for 2 years. There are women in America who will have this drug regularly because obviously they have an insurance system in America. The funding is different. And women in America, some of them have been in remission with worse deposits of cancer than me for over 4 years. They're alive, they're well, they're working full time, they're cracking on because of this drug. And who can say that won't be me? They've refused me funding for, you know, because of the cost and because apparently I'm not an exceptional case. What do they want me to do to be exceptional?
What will the drug do for you? Just be clear with the listeners. What will it do for you? Well,
I'm hoping the drug will put my cancer into some sort of remission. It will shrink the tumours that are going on in particularly my liver. It works well on the liver as an organ. So I'm hoping it will shrink the tumours in my liver and put my cancer into remission for a while.
Does your doctor agree with that?
Yes. Professor Barrett Lee is a world-renowned top-class professor. His expertise is breast cancer. This man has recommended I have the drug. A panel of oncologists in Velindre have recommended I have this drug. We have written this. I have written a begging letter to the local health board, and they have refused me. Now,
what did they say in the response to you?
Well, it's very complicated to understand the response, actually, but basically what they're saying is on the basis of cost and outcome ratio, they believe that the sort of cost of giving me the drug outweighs the benefits I may receive. So basically, their view is I'm terminally ill.
But aren't they just following the recommendation of NICE?
Yes,
because they don't back the drug either.
They don't. It's not on the approved list of drugs.
So why is that? Is it down to cost?
It's because it's expensive. It's because a course of the drug is about 3,500. I'm not exactly sure, but it's around 3,500 a month, which is a lot of money. I acknowledge that. And I also acknowledge the stress on the health service. I know. I understand.
Given the fact that you've worked in the health service then, and given the fact that the health board have refused it. You're scratching your head and your family are sitting around the dinner table, and I'm sure it must be a very distressing time for you and your family, Beth. And the conclusion you come up with is, well, what are they saying? Are they saying I'm not worth it?
Yes. So how do you judge what a person is worth? How do you judge a person's life? You know, how do they know what response I'm going to get to the drug? Are they trying to play God with my life? Yes, they are. And do I agree with it? No, I don't.
Because of financial constraint?
Yes. And I'm not saying I can have everything I want. I can't throw my toys out to the pram, can I? And say, I want everything, but I don't want everything. I just want an opportunity to be given something that is available, that might extend my life enough.
You want to be here for your husband. You
For
want to
my
be here
husband,
for your daughter.
yes.
You want to be here for your father. You want
Yes,
to be here.
Yeah. I don't want to die before my father. I don't want my daughter to go through her education without a mother. Any mothers out there, and they're listening to me now, they know what I'm saying. Any husbands out there know what I'm saying. What would they do to keep their family alive? What lengths would people go to keep their, loved ones alive? What would Carwyn Jones do to keep his wife alive? Would he fight for a finito for her? I think he would.
She's got a very good question. Have you put that to the First Minister?
No, I'll be seeing Mr. Jones on Saturday in his role as my Assembly member, and I will be asking Mr. Jones.
Would you be asking him that specific question? What length would you go to, First Minister, to save your wife's life?
I would. I will. I am.
What do you think he'll say?
Well, I don't know what he'll say. He might try and skirt round it and give me a bit of a broad political statement. That's a very good question, Mrs. Margetson. But I tell you what I want to hear is a yes or a no, and I'll be pinning him in the corner until he says yes or no. Because it won't be no, will it? He's not going to say no, I wouldn't want to save my wife's life. Nobody's going to say that. I want to live. I'm choosing life. I'm not choosing death. I want to live. And in December, I was very ill. I nearly did die. And I have had to fight very, very hard to see, when people look at me, they say to me, oh, Beth, you're looking so well. And I say, I am. I
have to say and stress to the listeners, when you walked into the studio, you're radiant, you've got a glow about you, you've got an amazing character, you look fantastic.
And I feel good. But, a lot of that is to my own mental attitude, to my proactive approach, to my view that I am empowering myself. I'm fighting for my life. And that's what I want people to know. I am fighting for my life. I'm fighting to stay alive. And if they were me, wouldn't they do the same? People with children my age or children younger, would you want to leave your children on their own? Would you want to see your children complete an education, get married, have a family? They're not extravagant requests, are they? They're normal requests. I'm a normal person. I'm a mother. I want to live for my daughter. And I don't think anyone has the right to refuse me a drug that could help me in that. I'm not unrealistic. I'm not saying we should all have what we want on the NHS. But I haven't asked for this drug. This drug has been recommended by an international breast cancer expert. So I ask the question, why are the local health boards employing people who are experts if they don't listen to their opinion?
I've got lots of texts coming in. This is from Bev in Porthcawl, who says, Bethan is so brave. She's fighting for her right to live. The Welsh Government is playing games with other people's lives. There are cancer drugs available to help people. Politicians are holding the purse strings. It's disgusting. They should give health decisions back to the oncologists. Nia text the show to say the NHS is unbelievable. This is someone's life. This medication should be available in the NHS. All of what this lady has been through, she has the worry of where money will come from to pay for the medication. The sad thing is that Bethan is not alone. Sort it out, NHS. Can I just take you back very briefly? What's it like when cancer enters the family, Bethan?
Well, it's devastating, isn't it? I mean, when they told me I had cancer, that was bad enough. When they told me they didn't think it was too bad, that was bad enough. When every time I went to an appointment, it was that little bit worse. When they told me I had all these secondary deposits, I thought I was going to pass out. I've buried myself many times over. I was in a very bad place mentally, and now I've sort of come out of there, because that is no good for me or anyone looking on. I have to be strong for people. I have to show that cancer is not necessarily a death sentence. And, you know, I don't have to accept death because I'm choosing life. And it's hard every day. I won't deny that it's hard living with it. And it's
How's
hard.
your family coped? Especially I'm thinking about, you know, I've got 3 children. I'm thinking about your young daughter.
It's been hard for my daughter. Obviously, she's a teenager. She's you know, at the point of doing her GCSEs. My daughter has been a fantastic, as has my husband. They have kept me alive. You know, my daughter has washed me, cooked for me, you know, made me laugh. She's kept me smiling. My husband has kept on working, and he's got a hard job with long hours. He's paid for anything I've wanted. You know, they love me. You know, they don't want me to die, and I don't want to die, and I'm not going to die.
I've got a text here from, I think it's your friend, Lee.
Yeah.
So she says, Beth is my friend. I love her very much. She's the most inspirational person I've ever known. You could never find a kinder, more generous person. I love you, Beth. Says your friend Lee.
You know, Jason, I'm not on my own. I'm sorry, it's my voice. The medication I take makes me a bit
That's okay.
hoarse.
Give me a glass of water, you okay? Let me read out another text. They're coming in their numbers, Beth, and so you take a break. And this is Paul, who says, the issue with your guest is not the cost of the drug, but the wider cost to society. The loss of work due to her health, which needs to be covered, maybe by a bank, nurses' care of her dad by social services, loss of work by her husband, looking after her children's loss at school. The wider cost to society is never taken into account. And the bottom line, the cost of the drug is not the true cost. We have to invest to save. I pray to God that Bethan gets the drug, says Paul.
Thank you very much.
If you were living in England, what would happen? Would you get this drug?
In England, the system is slightly different in as much as they have a pot of money in England called the Cancer Drug Fund, which is ring-fenced, you know, it's protected money. So women in England who have to apply for drugs that are off the list, they can apply to this Cancer Drugs Fund. And I think probably, although I don't have the figures, statistically women in England probably do have the drug prescribed more readily than in Wales, because we don't have that ring-fence pot of money. The money that I'm asking for, you know, to have this drug prescribed to me is from the central pot of money that, you know, is going towards all the other treatments. But, you know, I just, as I say, I just like to put this in perspective. When we're talking, all right, say the average cost for me is 68,000. Let's balance that against 21 million of waste. What can we do about that? Free prescriptions in Wales. You know, that's a little hot potato now. Free prescriptions. I'm not decrying there are people in need of free prescriptions, but we're not all in need of free prescriptions. And before free prescriptions came into being, £32 million worth of income was generated annually through the free prescriptions network. And, you know, a lot of the drug waste, that 21 million, a lot of that money is actually from people over-ordering drugs and prescriptions that really are not needed. I mean, a box of paracetamol is 30p. People have prescriptions for paracetamol, and it's not about a person having a prescription for paracetamol. It's about the administration costs of administrating that prescription, of the time, the man hours for that prescription. It's not actually the cost of that prescription per se in the cost of the drug. It's all the other costs that mount up.
You've written to the Welsh Government. You've written to the Health Minister, Mark Drakeford.
Yes.
Have you had a response?
I've had a generic email returned to me just to say that they're looking at my issue. I haven't had a specific response. It's just acknowledging my email and saying that they are looking in, you know, to what I'm asking. So
they've just written you an email to say that the issue is with the Health Minister. Do you even know if the issue is with the Health Minister?
Oh, I don't know. It's probably not him. You know, it's an assistant of an assistant of an assistant.
If Mark Drakeford was sitting in the studio right now, what would you say to him?
I'd say, Mr. Drakeford, I'd say, you know, first of all, have you got a wife? Have you got children? I'd say, what price would you put on your own wife's life? Or even his own life, you know? I think that maybe if I was sitting here with testicular cancer in a very, you know, male-dominated government, would I be having the same fight? You know, I'm not a raging feminist by any means, but, you know, would I be having the same fight? I don't know. Breast cancer is huge. 4,000 women in Wales, as we speak, have got breast cancer, are going through treatment. I live it. It's hell. I've been to hell. I know what it's like. I've been there. It's horrific.
Bethan, can you stay with me?
Yes.
I've got so many texts and emails and tweets to tell you about. This is Kevin, who says, Jason, she is brilliant. She is brilliant. Keep it up, girl. Gareth says, an inspirational woman. Gosh, give Bethan the drug she needs, First Minister Carwyn Jones and the Welsh NHS. We'll do more texts, emails and tweets in just a moment. Let's take a very short break for the travel. Here's Bethan.
Jay, strong winds across the A55 Britannia Bridge, matrix signs set to 30 miles per hour for safety reasons. The M4 corridor accident and incident free, though we are seeing a large amount of rain and surface water causing spray, reduced visibility to be expected, so do take some extra care. And we're still very slow on the A48 from Volgastell through towards Cross Hands. This is all due to daytime roadworks, the carriageway down to a single lane. And that's the latest from BBC Radio Wales Travel.
Hello, Louise Elliott here. Coming up on the show today, we look at distinctive Welsh architecture. We've reached the letter W in our Alphabet series. So, Phil Davis must choose between Stevie Wonder, The Who and Dionne Warwick. And at 3, we'll chat with Julian Clary. Join me from 1.
11:31. This is BBC Radio Wales. So we've just had a simply incredible response to a Bethan story that we are staying with this for the time being. And Bethan, I'd just like you to have a glass of water because you've had a real impact with my listeners today, so much so that they are tweeting and texting in their numbers. This is Linda in Swansea. Why doesn't the government just give the money to people like Bethan? This is so upsetting when money goes to drug addicts and wastes of space in Wales. Mike in Pontypridd. Jason, good morning to you. My heart goes out to Bethan as a human being. I believe she deserves this chance. Why not? She is a human being. She deserves the chance to live. I wish her all the luck in the world and my prayers are with her. And this is from somebody in Llantrisant who's contacted the programme, wants to remain anonymous for obvious reasons when I read out the comments. Jason, I work in the NHS system. The amount of waste I see in my area of work is horrific. Bethan is entitled to live. I'm tearful here. I lost my own mother to cancer. If I win the lottery, I will give it to Bethan. I feel for you so badly.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm going to go to the telephone lines. We're going to go to Jay in Cardiff. Hello, Jay.
Oh, hiya, good afternoon. Oh,
Hi.
Good morning, sorry.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Yes. Yes, well, I was thinking it's been disgusting. We're giving free prescriptions when people aren't dying of free prescription medication, and we can't give this life-saving drug.
No, that is exactly the point, you know. There is so much waste in the NHS. The NHS, if it was managed more effectively, there would be money available for people like me to have the drugs.
But can I just come in here? Hang on a second, because Jay has just been talking about free prescriptions and you just said waste. You cannot marry the two, because for many people, Bethan, and you'll completely accept this, free prescriptions are essential.
Yeah, I think the problem with...
I'm
not against
free prescriptions as a waste.
No, I don't mean it like that. What I mean is that a lot of people sort of over-order in terms of free prescriptions. They order too much, or they order things they don't actually need. And then those drugs are returned as waste, you know. They've gone out of date and things like that. It's not I disagree with free prescriptions.
No, and absolutely. And I think that the point you made earlier on, and Jay, I don't know whether you agree with Bethan on this, is that, and we've discussed this extensively on this programme, free prescriptions are being handed out to people who are earning a fortune and could simply pay for those prescriptions. But have you done the maths, Bethan? That amount of, as you call it, let's call it waste, that amount of waste, will it pay for the drug?
In Wales last year, there was over £21 million worth of waste, drug waste. Drugs were destroyed, you know, wasted, couldn't be used for a variety of reasons. I've said some of them: out of date, not needed, returned. Now, for me, for people like me with advanced breast cancer, if I just give you a figure, that is, I can give the reference for this if anyone's querying, where I've got it from. £2.8 million would provide 185 women with courses of life-saving breast drug treatment. So when we're comparing, the inefficiencies and the waste that's going on in the NHS, and when we translate that into what that could do for people like me, 185 people like me, and all those people who are listening now, across Wales, there are many like me who are living with metastatic disease. And I'm not talking about breast cancer in isolation. I'm talking about all metastatic cancer, all cancer that is spread to other organs. There's thousands of us. Now, what could that do for people like us? And governments need to realise there are so many, there's inefficiency. How many times have trusts, local health boards been reconfigured? More times than I've changed my socks. 1 minute they're a trust, 1 minute they're a health board, then they're a health authority. Thousands and thousands of pounds of waste, managerial waste,
But you're familiar with the system and you'll understand the difficulty facing Mark Drayford. He's relatively new in the post and it's a dwindling amount of cash that the Welsh Government has.
Absolutely, I agree. People are living longer. People are demanding more. I'm one of them. And I have absolute sympathy with the Welsh Government. I understand absolutely about budgeting. But what I am saying is the money that we've got cannot be wasted. The money that we've got, we have to use.
But they know that as politicians, don't they?
Well, I don't know if they do they? Thing is, if they knew it, would we have £21 million worth of waste going on? If they knew it, why aren't they on that then? I'm not a politician. I haven't even got a GCSE in maths. I sat it 3 times. But I can see, 21 million, we're on a bit of a sticky wicket. It's not rocket science, is it? My daughter's doing a GCSE. I think she could work that one out.
Okay, right. So, listen, Bethan, we've got so many more texts to go through. Okay, so whilst you're still here, and thank you very much indeed for staying on, we will discuss, for those people who wanted to hear our debate about Nick Clegg, we will discuss the Deputy Prime Minister in just a few minutes. But Bethan's story was so moving and we've had such an incredible response. We've asked Bethan to stay. She very kindly has offered to stay. So just a couple of final points and a couple of texts. So this is what my listeners are saying to you today. Moira in Tredegar, I'm listening to Bethan. I cannot believe what I'm hearing. It's disgraceful. Wise up, Welsh Government, and listen to her. This texter, what a lady. This is horrific. She's being denied a drug that's widely available throughout the world. We waste millions of pounds in Wales, both in the NHS and out. Give her what she deserves. Linda in Fairwater. Hi all, once again the NHS is playing Russian roulette with people's lives. Went through similar with my father. He didn't meet the criteria. Keep going, Beth, we are all behind you. I will fight with you. Have my number off Jason, says Linda in Fairwater in Cardiff. Okay, if you need some support, we can possibly do that. This is Tina who says stop free prescriptions and give people like Bethan hope. This is Mike. I can't listen to this programme anymore. This is heartbreaking. God bless. This country, this government is shocking. They should hang their heads in shame, these politicians, says Mike. This texter says, Jace, you cannot put a price on life. In my village of Cumaman, the authority wasted just over £250,000 installing road calming measures. Ramps, which are too high, had to be adjusted many times. Narrowing islands that caused traffic chaos, all of which have now been removed. Money wasted for the popularity vote. Our NHS is a breaking point. Our villages are dying. What's going to give? Please do not disclose me on this text. You've not put your name on it anyway, so you're okay. And this is from Bruna in Llandarf in Cardiff. On the email, she writes, Dear Jason, I'm listening to the story of this lady who was refused the cancer drug. I'm deeply touched by her story. I'm astounded to hear she's got to fight for so much, what she's going through with her illness and considering her family history. I have the greatest admiration for this woman, but I feel very angry to know, even in such serious circumstances, the NHS simply does not care about their patients. Being a foreigner, sometimes I feel petrified if something should happen to me in this country because of what I've heard about the NHS in this country from friends and colleagues. It makes you feel very, very lonely when you need all the help and support you can get. This is simply wrong. I wish Bethan all the very best for a prompt and successful result in her campaign. How do you feel about the listeners' comments today, Beth?
I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I thank you all very much for responding. And, you know, all I'd like to say is that, you know, we have to stand up for what's right. And I've always said all my life, you can't dress the truth up, and this is the truth. And if I'm the only one saying it, and I'm not the only one, but one voice is all it takes. And, you know, we have to be lobbying. We have to be lobbying the government. We have to be lobbying our assembly members. We have to be out there fighting for our rights. We deserve better. We do, you know. Wales is a poor country. Wales has always lagged behind England in terms of funding and everything, you know, and we've had to struggle. We've had to struggle to fight, but we have got to fight. And, you know, I know there are a lot of people with me out there, and I'm asking you to lobby your MPs, to get on that email, to get on to Carwyn Jones. That's what he's paid to do. He's paid to look after the people of Wales, to fight for their interests. You know, I'm not standing on my own here. As I've said, there are 4,000 women with breast cancer. When you add all the other cancers in Wales, I'm not singling myself out with breast cancer. You know, I'm talking to all the people out there with cancer. Men, women, whoever you are. I'm asking you to stand up and be heard. Don't be afraid. You know, Wales is too passive. We just take what we're given and we're grateful. We don't have to be like that. Let's get out there. Let's show them. You know, we're not having the scraps. We're not just having what people are ready to give what's left over. We want the best. We deserve the best. It's our human right to be treated fairly, to have equity. It's not equitable. It's not moral. It's not ethical. It's not any of those things. And I'm asking you, as people of Wales, to start saying it and to start fighting. We don't have to put up with, you know, just anything. We deserve better treatment, and not for ourselves, but for our children. Our children are the next generation. I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing it for all the other women in my position, and I tell you, I'm doing it for the most. I'm doing it for my daughter. My daughter is the next generation of breast cancer victims, and my daughter is not going to go through what I'm going through. My daughter is not going to have to fight for her life, because those drugs are going to be available for her, and my daughter is going to have better than me. And I was hoping I'd have better than my mother, but I'm not so sure. You know, because my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1982 when there wasn't a lot of treatment available. There weren't many drugs. And my mother lived purely on her will, her mental attitude. And I'm like that. It's genetic. And, you know, I'm asking for something that's going to help me along the way, that's going to keep me alive for my family. And I don't think that's an unreasonable request. I really don't. I don't think I'm being awkward or difficult. You know, I'm being controversial, but I think, you know, I'm entitled to be controversial. It's my life. It doesn't matter to the local health board. You know, they don't know me. They don't know my husband. They don't know my daughter. They don't know my father. They don't know anything about me. What difference to them is it if they give me the drug or not? None at all. But it's a difference to me, because it's a difference between living and dying, possibly. It's a difference in me seeing my daughter complete a university course and not. It's a difference in me being able to care for my father as long as he's alive. You know, it's a difference in me spending time with my friends, my family, my husband. It's a difference in me keeping on working. And it's a difference in all of our lives. Every single one of us will be touched with cancer. We may not have it ourselves. I'm not saying that we're going to all have some sort of cancer. But we will know a family member. We will know a friend, a neighbour. We all know somebody. And don't those people deserve the right to life? The right to a chance? Why am I fighting now to stay alive? Don't you think I've got enough going on? Do you know the effort it's taken me to come to this studio today and speak? Do you know how exhausted I feel fighting my corner? I've been doing it for 12 months. Fighting. They all think I'm bonkers. Well, I'm not. I'm just speaking for the masses. You know, I am saying what people are thinking. But, we got to stop thinking it. We got to stop thinking and we got to start saying it. We can't be afraid. We've elected people into the government. We've elected people into the local health boards. Those people are our representatives, and they are fighting our corner, supposedly. Well, let's see a bit of that going on then. Let's not see free prescriptions that win votes, that get people back into power. Let's see real action. Let's see real difference. What about my life? What about my family's life? What about my neighbour's life? You know, we're too quiet, we're too passive, we just are accepting, we're afraid if we speak that our treatment will be worse. We won't get the drug. You know, if we speak out, they'll treat us worse. Well, they won't. Because, you know, they are our, they're our representatives. And, you know, they have a duty of care to us as the public. And I am asking for that drug to be given to me.
Bethan, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Bethan Margetson, 11:45. The One, BBC Radio Wales. Lots of texts still coming in. 12:44 on National Service, Liberal Democrats, and the pretty phenomenal piece of radio at 11 o'clock today. Lots of you saying you've never heard anything like it. And trust me, I've never been in this position before where I've been sitting in a studio listening to somebody speak so powerfully about a story. We'll do more text on Bethan Margetson, the woman from Porthcawl who slammed the Welsh Government for not funding a cancer drug that she desperately needs. So we'll do some more of your texts in just a moment. 12:53, you are still emailing and texting your reaction to Bethan Margetson's interview today. This is Andrew who says, "Morning, Jason. Listening to Bethan this morning was a moving experience. She has presence, energy, and she communicates very powerfully. Surely the whole ethos of the NHS is to endeavour to cure the best of its abilities. This is obviously not happening here in Wales. That's very sad, especially in Wales, given its history. My thoughts are with Bethan and her family. I hope she eventually receives the treatment that she deserves." Margaret in Caerphilly. "Hello, Jason. I'm thinking of Bethan with you today. It's been very moving. We lost our son at an early age. Our thoughts and prayers are with her and her family during this time. I hope she'll be able to get the cancer drugs, let her family have a little bit longer time with her. Prayers are with her all over Wales today, if they're listening to the programme. God bless you, Bethan," says Margaret. If you missed that interview with Bethan Margetson, it will be available on the BBC iPlayer. You have to listen to it. That's all I'll say to you. If you missed it, if you've only just tuned in from 12 o'clock, you have to go to bbc.co.uk/Radio Wales and listen to the interview. And I just want to stress, thank you very much indeed. I say this every day, but really thank you to everybody that's texted, emailed, tweeted. You've called the show. Many of you didn't even want to come on the programme today and speak. You just wanted to come in on the show and tell my production team that you're all behind Bethan and thinking of her. And many of you have said you've never heard such powerful, powerful speech on BBC Radio Wales. In fact, on any radio station. So therefore, if you missed it at 12 o'clock, if you tuned in at 12 and missed it, go to the BBC website, bbc.co.uk/Radio Wales, and listen to Bethan Margetson's extremely powerful interview today. And Bethan, as she left the studio, my producer's telling me that she was incredibly moved by all your texts, emails and tweets. I wish I had another hour to go through every single text that has come in today. We literally had hundreds of them today. Thank you all very much indeed.